What is up, YouTube, or whoever is watching? This is another Super Geeks production. Today what I'm going to talk about is voter fraud in 2008 and this year, meaning certain organizations that are able to manipulate people's votes, being either internet, manual, or whatever way you vote for a president. I'm going to speak a little bit about Ron Paul, mainly because if you've noticed, or if you've been watching the news, you've noticed that there's a lot of people saying he can't win, he can't do this, he can't do that, when in fact everything he said for the last basically 15 years and predicted was correct in every way. So when all these big time people are saying, you know, Ron Paul can't win, he's not presidential material, all that's fucking actually bullshit, because he's actually one of the more in tune to the younger crowd slash middle-aged crowd of, you know, what laws really should be. He's also very much like JFK and MLK in the sense that they know there's a conspiracy going on. All this Illuminati stuff and this 2012 stuff and this Freemason stuff, it's not fake, it's very real, and they know this. Thus, this is why all of the elites slash and their corporations are doing everything they can to make Ron Paul look bad, when in fact he is the only one who wants to get rid of all of the military action we put ourselves in other countries. He wants to bring everybody home, which granted every presidential candidate said, I'm going to bring home our troops ASAP, right when I get in office. Well, none of them really did. But when I hear Ron Paul say this, and when he's asked how soon it will be, he states as soon as the helicopters and planes can get there. No other president would even think of saying something like that because they're lying. Ron Paul, when he says it in his face, you can look and tell the man's telling the truth. I don't know if you can look at people's faces and tell what they're lying or telling what they're telling the truth about, but you can read a lot by someone's lips and their eyebrows, you know, and their eye movement when they speak. And he doesn't lie. Also, there has been a lot of proof lately that this year voting for Ron Paul has been diminished in a sense that it's been altered by a lot of companies. He started out at 2%, you know, having legislature and all the different types of, you know, he had Republican nominations, Democratic nominations. He only had like 2%. Now he has 52%. He's climbing really quickly, and you're going to see a lot of information online that's false about, you know, Mitt Romney is winning, or, you know, Obama, whoever, Michelle Bachmann, whoever's winning is really not winning. Ron Paul is actually winning right now because all the people who do vote are from 20 to, say, 45. They're the activists. And they know that, you know, since the NDAA was just passed in Virginia, that martial law could happen any second there and here. Basically, if you don't know what martial law is, it removes the habeas corpus, which is your Miranda rights and a couple of other laws that give you humane rights. So in Virginia right now, not a joke, this is real, it was just passed, there is this bill called the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, and it allows the president to be a dictator, to run a dictatorship, which is a lot different. It's very tyrannical compared to the way we run our system now. Even though Federal Reserve and Congress and a lot of things are screwed, it's better than what it would be with a dictatorship. This also means, in this bill, the NDAA, this means that you will not have rights. You are guilty until proven innocent. Habeas corpus is backwards. When you get arrested, they do not have to read you your rights. They do not have to tell you anything. They just grab you and take you and do what they want with you. This is under military martial law. Now, there are a lot of troops coming back to prepare for martial law from other countries and from our own American citizens. We are still putting people in Australia and Russia and Korea to watch things. But not near as many who are coming over here to help for the so-called culling. There will be a culling. If you are familiar with the Georgia Guidestones, this is the elite's agenda, and it's admitted everywhere. You can look it up. They want less than 500 million people on the face of the earth. And it was put into place on March 22nd, and the Freemasons number is 322. Don't want to go too far into that, but look at what Ron Paul is doing. There's a lot of stuff being banned from TV because he's telling the truth, and he doesn't care what you think, and a lot of people like that because he's, not only does he have balls, they're huge, but he sits there and takes criticism like a champ. He doesn't get mad when people get in his face, basically verbally slash him in half. He is calm, collected, and he can think, no matter what you have to say. And you can't say that for many other presidents. And you also can't say this for many other presidential delegates. When you look at him and you see where he came from, he used to be a doctor, an OBGYN, okay? He's really smart, okay? He knows that the fluoride and all these other types of chemicals in the jet contrails that we're seeing are actually very bad for us. He's not an idiot, okay? But he actually had balls enough to get out of his field and go into another field, which he gets lots of donations, okay? He doesn't take all of them. He gives a lot of them back out and uses them exactly for what he says he's going to use them for. And you can't say that for any other presidential candidate, because more than half of what other presidential candidates have actually raised are put in their own personal bank accounts and not spent. Ron Paul shows everything. One other thing before I cut this short. Ron Paul was the first presidential candidate, or just politician, if you will, who wanted to audit the Federal Reserve. And when this happened, the Federal Reserve, they tried to let him have some documents. They let him think, or his corporation think, that they were auditing, but they really weren't. And even though they didn't get all of the documents, they found over $8 trillion in unspent notes, meaning nothing to back that notes, just money printed from the Federal Reserve for expenses of the military. $8 trillion. Now that's not considering the $15 trillion we give, actually I'm sorry, the $15 billion we give to Israel every year, because we're actually collateral. That's why we have a social security number. I'll get into that later. But habeas corpus has been removed in Virginia. Ron Paul knows about this, and there's a lot of voter fraud going on. If America is to actually have the president that we need to fix this, like we had with JFK, too bad what happened. We just need another one like him, and it is Ron Paul. And the only thing the Americans can do is not just vote, but get into people's faces and find out where this actual fraud is coming from, because it's all over YouTube, all over all kinds of other websites. Major fraud is happening on Ron Paul's behalf, not in the good way, in the bad way, because he's so good. He's going to win everything if they don't make it look a little bit weird. And yes, they have the power to do that. So, look up Ron Paul, look up the NDAA, also look up the North American Union. Canada and Mexico and America will be called the American Union very soon. You can thank President Bush Sr. for making this agreement without Congress's or United States civilians' consent.